Hi everyone, I'm Laura, the owner of Total Wellness Therapeutics, and today we're here at Olympic Physical Therapy in Linwood, New Jersey, and we're starting a new class on Saturday mornings at 9:30. But today I wanted to make a video talking about something that's really important within the scope of yoga and the sister science of Ayurveda. So we're going to talk about this concept of Agni, which is our internal fire. It's where we get our energy, it's where we get our drive. In the Western world, we would think of it as our metabolism. It's the way that we burn through our food and turn it into fuel. But in the Eastern concept of Agni, it goes a little bit farther than that. It's beyond just the way that we digest our food, and it goes into where we get our spark for life, and it has a lot to do with our longevity. People who live to be 105 have a very strong, controlled Agni, and that's what gets them that longevity. So during our practice, in order to make sure that our Agni is really strong, we do lots of deep breathing, because we know that for a fire to burn well, it has to have plenty of oxygen. We also want to build some heat through the center of the body, so we'll be doing a lot of core work to create that heat, because that's the other thing that you need for a good fire. There has to be a spark, there has to be a heat source to maintain that fire. And then the third component that you need for a good fire, of course, is good fuel. And that would be up to you when you go home to make sure that you eat something that's healthy, something that's going to fuel your body. And then those three things put together will give you a really good amount of energy, because your Agni is going to be strong. So for our practice, we're going to start out down on the back so that we can do lots of core work. Roll it down. Take the knees into the chest, and starting out, just pull the knees in toward you and feel that stretch through your lower back. Nice deep breath there. Every time you exhale, see if you can pull the knees closer. And then this time, as you breathe out, lift your head and shoulders up. You can even wrap the arms a little bit tighter. Pull yourself into a little tiny ball. And carefully release down. We'll send the legs up toward the ceiling and open the arms up overhead so that we have lots of space right at the bottom of the rib cage where the diaphragm is. And that diaphragm is what moves most of the air in and out. So we want to make sure that there's space there for the diaphragm to do its job. And we get lots of oxygen to our internal fire. So we're pressing the heels up toward the ceiling, fanning the toes out and pulling them down toward you so that you get a stretch through the calves and through the hamstrings, just to warm up before we do our next couple of moves. And then you can alternate point the toes and draw the toes down. And stretch on the front of the shin. And we'll take the knees in toward the chest. We're just going to rock them forward and back to loosen up the pelvis. A couple times with the knees together, and then open the knees apart and do the same thing. Rock toward you and away. You can see how my tailbone lifts up as I pull the knees in, and then it releases down as I let the knees go. Okay, and then knees together, we're going to start to circle out and around. So one of the reasons that I really like this move is that you start to warm up the core. You're loosening up the hips and the lower back, but you get this really nice massage around the lower back as the knees go around in a circle. You get some pressure around your sacrum. And we'll take a little pause and go the other way, even it out. Back into the middle. Send the legs up to the ceiling. Drop the arms down to the sides. And we're going to do that same movement, but with the legs up toward the ceiling. So start a little circle there. Feel that same pressure that rolls around your lower back, around your sacrum. open that circle up just as you feel comfortable. It's really about feeling how much control you have today with your abs. If you're feeling a little bit weak, keep the circle smaller. If you feel like you have a good amount of control, you can open that up pretty wide. Keeping the breath slow and smooth. If you feel like the breath starts to get choppy, bring that circle in a little bit. Take a little pause at the top and then let's switch circle the other way to keep it even. Opening the circle out a little bit. And back into the middle. Send the heels up, fan the toes, pull them down toward you. Pull the knees into the chest, lift the head. Release the head down and send the legs back up. We're going to do one of my favorite ones, which is alternating heel taps. So this is the version that I like to do with straight legs. If this is too much for your lower back, or you don't feel like you have good control with your abs, you're just going to bend your knees a little bit and do the same thing. And the control that you're looking for is with the pelvis. You want to make sure that every time the leg taps down, your pelvis doesn't roll forward and back. If you get that kind of instability, bend your knees a little bit more. Stay really still through the pelvis so that you're controlling with the abs, and go for that alternating tap. So you feel where you have good stability, but still a little bit of challenge for the abs, and you're going to work there. Good strong breath with each movement. With this one, I like to exhale on the way down and inhale on the way up. And after a few rounds, you're going to start to feel it in your hip flexors too, which is great. Back up to center, fold the legs in, wrap the arms around, head comes up. Release the head down. We'll send the legs up one more time. And this time we're going to start a little side to side movement. And just like we did the circles, start with a small range of movement. Decide how your abs feel. Maybe you're starting to get tired and you want to keep the movement a little bit tighter. And if you still have good control, you can start to open wider and wider. You can start to create a pattern of inhale, center, exhale, side. Inhale, center, exhale, side. Take a rest, we'll come up into the middle, bend the knees, lift the head up. Release your head and let's roll over to the side and come up into sitting. So I'll sit sideways, and that way you can see my alignment a little bit better. And we're going to start out with what I like to call the tall seat. You're going to sit up on your sitting bones. You have to tip your pelvis forward a little bit and then stack the vertebrae. And be really mindful that the head is right over the top of the shoulders. And you can pull with your arms a bit to lift the chest. And feel this broadening out through the collarbones. And then we tip back off of the sitting bones and start to find your balance point. Lift the feet up and spread the toes. That's the important part. Spread the toes out, push through the ball of the foot, and it'll give you more lift, more buoyancy with the legs. Now find that broadness across the chest. Draw the top of the arm bone back. Draw the shoulder blades back. And lift with the lower belly. And then when you find your balance, if you feel like you can maintain, then take the arms out. But be careful here, we just did a lot of core work. You might be more fatigued than usual. Even if you can usually do a boat, maybe right now you need to hold on with the arms. Drop the legs down, cross them into Sukhasana, and fold yourself over into a forward bend for a counter stretch. Take your inhale, walk yourself up. Now, out of everything that we do to work on our Agni, it is said that the breath is the most important part. Of course, in our yoga practice, we come onto our mat to work on our breathing, and the postures and the movements are really secondary to our breath. So when it comes to working on our Agni, the perfect breath to use for that is the breath of fire. So we'll take a really tall seat, and you can either put your hands on your belly if you need a little bit of help feeling the movement for breath of fire, or you can leave your hands out on your knees. But the way that breath of fire goes is it's a very short, quick breath, and it's an inhale, exhale, with strong control using the abdominals and using the diaphragm to pump the air in and out at about 2 or 3 breaths per second, if you can get to that pace. If you need to go a little bit slower, you can. But eventually we work up to a pretty quick breath. So let's start with the hands on the belly. And we'll take an inhale about 3/4 of the way full, not completely full. And then as you exhale, you start to pump the belly back and forward. Exhale, inhale. Just slow that breath down again. And we'll take the legs straight out front. Now if you have tight hamstrings, it can be a little bit hard to sit in this position. So you can always bend your knees, or it's a really good idea to sit up on a cushion when the hips are a little bit higher than the knees. It makes it a lot easier. But we'll start out with a really tall spine, shoulders over the hips, head over the shoulders. Bring your hands into a fist and then take the index fingers out. So we're going to exhale, curl back, tuck the tailbone underneath, scoop the belly, and on your inhale, long spine, reach forward. Make sure that you don't curl when you come forward. So we'll exhale, contract through the belly. Inhale, straight back, reach forward. We start out slow, just seeing how your back feels, making sure that your alignment is good. And then if you feel okay and you want to pick up the pace, you can. If you want to stay with that slow pace, that's good too. Now whatever your pace is, put a good strong breath behind it. Make sure that there's some sound. You can use your Ujjayi breath. Give yourself that auditory feedback. And in your mind, visualize that internal fire and you're fanning it. It's almost like you're using the bellows to increase that heat in your fire. breath like that. Come up into sitting, fold the legs together. Now we'll do one more move to work on opening up the core, building some strength, building some heat, fanning our internal fire. And we're going to do a Kundalini move called the Sufi grinds, which is one of my favorites. We're going to inhale, press the heart forward, exhale as you circle back. Inhale front, exhale back. And once you find a good range of movement and you feel like your back is happy with where you're moving, then you want to close your eyes and just focus on your breathing. Strong inhale, strong exhale. Put some power behind it. Fan that internal fire. Trying to fuel your metabolism. But we want to keep in mind that Agni is more than just metabolism. It has a lot to do with our emotional state as well. So when our Agni is not burning well, then we have more trouble letting go of negativity. If something happens that bothers us, it will stick with us longer when our Agni is not strong. When our Agni is strong, then we're able to kind of let things roll off our back more easily. We don't let things bother us or stick with us that are negative, so we can burn through that more quickly, which is a really nice benefit of having that strong internal fire. And we'll come to the front. Take a little pause and then switch the other way. Inhale forward, exhale, curl it back. Nice big circle. Follow that track with the heart. Circle out, pull back. More circles, breath really strong. Coming back up in the center. Sitting up tall, flipping the palms. Drawing the hands to the heart. Thank you so much for joining me on this practice. I hope that you feel a little bit stronger through your core, and this practice to work on your Agni has given you more energy and more vitality today. Namaste.